For a talk about Palestine Children's Relief Fund organization. We have our sisters Asma, Nia, and Rania from the community. They will talk to us about the role in the organization. Rania has hosted a child from Palestine in the past, so she will let us know about this experience. So you can know about it. You can help by either being a host family in the future, or you can volunteer to help a hosting family. Or you can donate. So we'll hear from our sisters. They will introduce themselves, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. So my name is Asma Taha. I am a pediatric nurse, have been in a practice for almost 35 years this year. I do practice at Oregon Health and Science, and I do practice at Shriners for children.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Nia Haq. I am a nurse practitioner, and I do patient care and medical coordination with PCRF locally, our local chapter. I've been there almost 7 years now under Asma and others' guidance. And we've had some experience hosting children, getting medical care here, and fundraising for children in Palestine. And Rania will be telling us more about that.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Rania Kanaan. I am a Palestinian, and I'm an educator. And I hosted a child twice, one time in 2016 and the other one just right before the pandemic in 2019.
Okay, so Palestine Children's Relief Fund. Let's see if your hand goes up if you've heard of PCRF. Have you heard of PCRF in the news or recently? Okay. So Palestine Children's Relief Fund is an organization that was founded by Steve Sosby about 30 years ago when he went to Palestine and was very motivated to help an individual there who had lost his leg. And so coordinating medical care for that brother kind of helped to inspire more children and also more training on the ground so that professionals in Palestine then also have the specialty training that they need. And so those missions have been ongoing since then. Asma has volunteered on many missions there, and so she'll probably give us some stories about that. But so within PCRF, it's an American-based organization, and there are chapters around the United States. Portland has a very active chapter. You may have attended some of our fundraisers in the past, or even participated or seen calls when we've had children here. When there are children that have needs that cannot be met locally, for example, sending a child to Egypt or Saudi Arabia or India, I believe is another. Jordan. Yeah. So if we can send a child within the region to get care, then that is where it happens. And there are some specialty cases that will come here. And so that is what we may be looking at in the future for children that need specialty care. And it requires a lot of hands on the ground. A loving host family as well as volunteers that can help coordinating things like medical visits, outings if you have kids because they don't want to hang out with middle-aged women all the time, things like that. So, yeah. You want to tell us a little bit more about what hosting a family is like?
Okay, so the first time I heard about PCRF is through my neighbor who was in the board with the PCRF. That was in 2015. She herself hosted Hazar. She's from Ramallah. She was only 3 years old. She came with her aunt. And I ended up being a volunteer, taking Hazar to Shriner hospitals and other volunteers also as well. They will take her to the appointment. And in 2016, Luciana came to me and she said, would you like to host a child? And I asked my children and my husband, and we all agreed that we will bring a child to our house. Thair came in 2016. At that time, he was 14 years old. And if you want to host a child in your house, you just need to put in mind that this child can stay between 3 to 6 months in your house. And you're going to treat him as part of your family. And he will become part of your family even after they leave. They will stay in contact with you, and their family will be part of your family. They will call, they will check on you, you will check on them. And Thair, until now, I am in contact with him. So when Thair came in 2016, luckily I have 3 boys, and 2 of my boys are the same age as Thair. So that's also another thing, if you want to know the age of the child you're hosting, and if you have children, it's his age or her age, it doesn't matter if it's a girl or a boy. Just put that in mind. Also, I think they do run background check on you. You don't have to transport the child to appointment, so you don't have to worry about this. They have a lot of volunteers. I hardly took Thair to any appointment. The volunteer will come to your house and they will take him and they will stay with him in the hospital until he's done with his appointment. Another thing you need to put in your mind that if you plan any vacation, if you plan any trip, that child is going to be with you, is going to be part of your family, and you're going to treat him that way. Unless, if you don't want to do that, you have to inform the chapter that you cannot take the child with you, so they can find another host family for him. But with Thair, he was part of our family. We took him to Disneyland, we took him to the beach, we took him to Seattle, we traveled, we took him to Mount Hood. He really enjoyed his time with my children. Also, another thing to put in mind is to have a private room for him, because they do need their privacy when they want to talk to their families. Most of these children are amputee, so to think about the bathroom and the shower, if you have a walk-in showers, so that will make his life easier. And what else? Oh, and when you host a child, and if there is fundraise, other families will come and donate money, and they will donate to PCRF, but some family will actually donate money to the child. So make sure when you take the money to actually let the child know how much money you have. Sometimes the children will take this money, and sometimes they will give it back to PCRF. And if they take this money, they will ask you if they can go shopping and do stuff and buy gift for their family. So you don't have to worry about you buying gift to the families unless if you want to do that. So you're gonna be open-minded. Also, another thing that you need to put in mind is these children, they come from a war zone. The way that they think, the way that they see things is completely different than us. The way that you think, oh, it's easy, it's fine to do it for them, it can be really, really difficult to adjust and really difficult for them to understand why we act certain ways. So you really need to be open-minded. And sometimes if they get upset, just chill, relax, and understand why these things happen to them. Some of them, because of the ongoing war, like Thair, he's now 18 years old or 19 years old, and you can imagine how many wars this child have witnessed. Thair lost 5 of his family. He was the Judy family was one of the last family in 2014 with the ceasefire. It was the last family that, during the ceasefire, Thair and his mom and his 4th sibling, they went outside to play, and he told me that I saw the Zannane, which is the drone. He said, I saw it, and I told my mom, it's up there, and my mom said, oh, don't worry, it's a ceasefire. They're not gonna do anything for us, let's just play. And his mom asked him to go and get water from the house. So while he was walking, they bombed his 4th sibling and his mom. And he told me that my mom had flew to the neighbor, and his sister was collected in a garbage bag because they could not find her body. Thair lost his leg, lost part of his fingers. They done 19 surgery on him. before before he came to the US. So I think he went to Yugoslavia, he went to Jordan, he went to so many countries before even he moved to Shriner Hospital to have a prosthetic leg. And then he saw a psychiatric here. He saw Dr. Omar Rida, and he was trying to help him. Those kids, what do you call that, PSTD? The PSTD. It's in Gaza, this is not, it's not a post. It's something that's happening almost every couple of years. So for them to pass it, the war has to stop. But for the Gaza people, this is ongoing thing that our children are witnessing. One of the things I remember Thaer, and also Thaer, we put him in the school, so he went to middle school the first time he came, 2016, and 2019 he went to high school. So you also need to put this in mind that he's gonna be going to school with your children. So you have to register him in your school, and they will have a special bus coming to him, so he doesn't have, or she doesn't have to walk to the bus stop. There is a special bus come and pick them up. My son was playing football, and you know the American football, when you throw it, Thaer was imagining this as a bomb. Every time he'd throw it, he would throw it and he would make the boom sound as if it is a bomb, and he will hide. And I remember every time there is a helicopter in the sky, Thaer will immediately look and he would say, "Is everything okay, Auntie?" I would say, "Yeah, everything is fine." It's like, "Oh, okay." So for them to think that this is a normal thing for you, you don't think about it, for them these noises can all the time affect them. So you just need to be aware of these things. And one time I asked him about his wish. What does he wish? He has one wish. He said, "I wish to meet the Israeli soldier who bombed my sibling and ask him one question. I want to ask him, why did you do this? What did my 4 siblings, who are younger than him at that time, so his 2 sisters were, I think, between the age 8 and 12, and the other one were even younger." He's like, "Auntie, that's my only wish, that I want to know why they did this." So even to think about these things, that their wishes, their dream is completely different than our children's dream. So that's what I have. So I hosted Thaer twice. So if you host a child and their prosthetic leg, they give them this much to grow, and sometimes they grow taller, so they might bring them back. So when they bring them back, they give them the choice if they want to stay with their host family. And most likely, if they love you and if they had good time with you, they will ask that we need to go back to our host family. And this is what happened with Thaer, that he said, "I need to go back with Auntie Rania and Ammu Naveed." And they asked me if that's fine, and of course, with a heart, they said, "Yeah, that's fine, just to bring him back. I would love to have Thaer back to our family." So if you have any question about hosting a child, you can ask me, and I can pass the mic.
So usually, kids get identified in Palestine who need help. Often emergent procedures are done either on the ground or in the neighboring countries, because you cannot transfer someone who's critically ill. And then after we stabilize the kids, then we figure what else do they need. The kids who came to Shriners here, they came for prosthetics. But sometimes we bring kids who need heart surgeries, or who need vascular surgeries, or different kind of procedures. So usually when those kids get identified, then PCRF start looking for hospitals and surgeons who are willing to do those cases. For a Shriner, we have a central process, like all applications have to go through Florida. They have their central office in Florida. We do our applications there. And if we identify Portland, the surgeons here, they are always willing to take orthopedic cases. And that's why we have been bringing orthopedic cases to Portland. And then when that happened, we have a surgeon, we have a hospital that is identified, then we start working on the logistics. So we have few patient care coordinators, myself, Mandy, Entisar. We work on organizing volunteers, figuring what is the schedule for the kids, like do they need surgeries, do they need appointments, do they need physical therapy? We build a schedule, and then we reach out to the community asking for rides, who can help with what. And of course, like we could not do all this without having a host family that basically embraced the child and give him a home away from home. Yeah, I think we brought 3 children, or we brought 2 children, but 3 times, and then we collaborated with Jewish Voice for Peace. We brought a child from Iraq who was even more complex than our Palestinian children, who required surgeries at Shriners, and actually Mandy's sister have operated on him in Eugene at Peace Health. And of course, like, you know, same like any child, like they need loving family, shelter, food, recreation, being included, same like any child. Those kids and their families are very appreciative, like we're giving them a chance for normal life. We're trying our best, and may Allah help us all. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I think when we have hosted children before, I felt I have children, I would love to host them, but my house is, I rent a townhouse that has a lot of stairs, and it's not something that is really conducive to that, or if you don't have a private room, there's plenty of ways to become involved. So a host family is a very special person. It's essentially asking you to do a short-term foster of a child. But don't want you to think, I can't do that, so I can't be involved. You know, we have a family pass to OMSI, so the kids loved that. They loved going to see the Science Museum. You know, is there, you know, the soccer teams. There's some people that had connection with the Timbers, right? Was it the Timbers or the? Yeah. Rania can tell you a little bit more about the special events that happen with that.
Yeah, so if you host a child and you know their interests, if they love soccer, if they love basketball, you can reach out to this organization, and believe it or not, once you say what you're doing, this organization will step in and ask, they will let you visit their facilities. So we went to the Timber game, and also we went to their facilities, so that Thaer got to visit all the Timbers player. They get to sign his shirt. He get to see them practicing, and then when they have a game, they will ask you and all your family. So if you have even 10 members of your family with Thaer, they will get you tickets, and you will go and watch the game, and even they will ask you to go down and take pictures with both team. The same thing with the Blazers. Thaer loved basketball, so we ended up going to 2 games, and it was so fun for him that he just loved it, and they will let you go into their lockers, meet him, and watch the game, watch them practice. And at the end, what the Blazer did, they actually give him vouchers to go and buy whatever he wants from the store. So these things, and another thing, Thaer loved to ride bikes, and because of his leg, he was unable to ride bikes. So an organization, I forgot the name of the organization, but they found out about Thaer, and they actually ended up making a special bike for him. And that bike is with his hand. And we went to, I think, the expo center the rally where they ride bikes. And so we took him there, and he was riding bikes with other people. And so these things, if you need help, we can connect you. Like we know people, and it's not that I knew people; they're just from word of mouth that we met someone and we said, "Oh, okay, I know someone at the Blazer game. Oh, I know someone at the Timber." So if that happened and you host a child, we can actually connect you with this organization. And the other thing is, if you yourself are involved,
with any social organizations, if you teach, if you are in medicine, those are really great connections for us because the kids and sometimes their family members that come need primary care, might be out of date with vaccinations, might need a checkup while they're here, might need their teeth looked at. So those are also, it's worth it to reach out either yourself or to a friend and say, hey, if we had a child here that had some needs, would your office be able to accommodate that? Because that is always really, really nice to have.
Yeah, preventive care, we focus on everything basically, having a dental exam, updating vaccinations. Like whatever we can get the children while they're here, we try our best. Questions? Well, at this time, the people that we are getting out of Palestine, they are going to Jordan and they're going to Egypt. It's a very hard time to get them overseas. Like they're looking at Turkey, and I think some kids went to Tunisia as well. So we're trying to stabilize problems first and then get them to where they can be close to the Middle East or somewhere where they speak Arabic. And right now we're looking for surgeons, but like we don't have a list of patients who are ready to transport to the US. Bringing children from the Middle East to the US is also have its own logistic. You have to get a visa from the American embassy. So those things are not being facilitated well as it used to be before. So it may take us time before we get children in the US. I think we got one kid since the war started in Gaza. But the logistic is really tough on the ground, especially with the American embassy and getting people to leave, knowing that maybe they lost parents or they lost their family. And I think there is also concerns with the trafficking. So I think anybody who needs immediate care is getting the care either in Egypt or Jordan for now. Yes, Tom. Yeah. So the donation basically, so we have people who procure medical supplies and food in Egypt that basically they send it through the WHO, the World Health Organization. And then in Jordan, Steve have visited basically the king and the queen, and they have a Hashemite foundation. So basically we managed to send medications and nutrition. Closer, sorry, but I'm scared of the microphone. So we made arrangement for food and medication to be transported with a Jordanian organization that were flown into Gaza. And Jordan agreed to take all our children who were diagnosed with cancer, because before the cancer center was destroyed, we tried to evacuate all the kids out of Gaza, and we managed to do that. So those kids are being treated in Jordan, and the one who fund their treatment is Palestinian Children Relief Fund. So although we get care in Arab countries, we pay for it. And we will have host families in Jordan, host families in Egypt. Everywhere we send kids, there is host families, and there is local chapters. Yes, sir. So there is some cases are complex. So the girl that we got right after the war started, she needed a vascular surgeon because her arm was basically disconnected, and she needed major surgery that the Middle East, they will not be able to manage it. So she went to Michigan. Other kids, like all those kids, their treatment costs a lot of money. So beside the prosthetic, for example, sometimes they need surgery to prep the limb for a prosthetic. Then you need the prosthetic. Then you need physical therapy. And although those treatments are available in those countries, but they're also costing money, and here we get them donated from the hospitals. So the surgery, the surgeon fees, the hospital fees, it's all donated. Well, it's free here. It's free, so we don't pay for it. We don't pay for it, and the community basically carry the child. So Rania and her family, basically they funded his food, his outing. So there is a lot of money that goes in there, but it's all donated money, if that makes sense. So we try, like, it depends on the child age. With Thaer, he came, he was in middle school, he was 12 years old, 13 years old, his mom just died, so he came alone. With Hazar, she was 3 years old, and I think her mom could not come with her, and correct me if I'm wrong, so her aunt came with her. So if the child is younger, usually if you have a girl who's coming, we usually like to have a guardian with them. And then we try to match the families. So, you know, it worked perfectly that Rania have children who are male in his age. So that was easier for her family and easier for the child also to adapt to the situation. Yes, yeah. And they both stay together usually. Yes, sir. Well, you know, we did some fundraising event, like we did one, I think in November 4th, it was our last one, and usually the fund that we raised went for procuring medication, equipment, and food. That was kind of the emergent relief for Gaza. We usually don't fundraise for host families. We ask people to volunteer. We want to know who's willing to take a child. You know, it will be nice to know, like in our community, is there is people interested in hosting a child or not. And if they are, they could contact us, because we have to do background check, and we have to make sure, you know, like what kind of child we can, well, like what age group, what kind of abilities, disabilities they have, like to match them with the family.
So you do matching the ages, the gender?
We try our best, yeah, we try our best, yeah.
So how about the barriers, like, for example, language barrier? Does the family hosting going to speak Arabic because the child does not know English?
You know, we prefer people to speak Arabic, but the truth is not everybody speaks Arabic, and kids come all across America. Like we have people in Seattle and Spokane who were hosted by American families. They were not hosted by Arab families. I think with technology and Google Translate, people can manage. I can tell you, Mandy does not speak much Arabic, but she managed.
Yeah, we'll say, we talked about this earlier, that a lot of our volunteers did not speak Arabic, and they managed to pick up the kids, drive them, as long as communication is clear. It's really helpful, and usually we have that because most of the board are fluent Arabic speakers, and when a child is here, we are on call pretty much 24/7. And so, you know, I was able to pick up a child and his mother, transport them places. We hung out with my kids, and they make do. So it's not as, ideally, we have a family that speaks Arabic, but if we have a perfect match and a loving home, then that's acceptable. But of course, the preference would be if it's an Arabic-speaking home, but we can make it work.
So with Thaer, his family, his dad actually preferred that we don't speak Arabic with him. He wanted him to speak English, and my husband doesn't speak Arabic, he speaks English, so he's like, let your husbands and your children speak with my son English all the time, just to increase his vocabulary and his English. So sometimes it's a benefit. Sometimes the family actually is fine to have a host family who doesn't speak Arabic.
You mentioned about like to send them to the local school. So with all this service and medical attention,
Yeah, with Thair, when he started going to school, they try to do his appointment, whether it's early in the morning or late in the afternoon. So he will at least have at least 5 hours of school time. But if it's not, then they will just take him out of the school. But the PCRF tried, really worked hard to just have his appointment, whether it's early morning or in the late afternoon. And what is the other question? Oh, and the language, if I live in Westland, so they did not have the ESL, but I know Beaverton have it, Hillsboro has it, Portland has their ESL program for the non-native speaking English. But also there were teachers who pulled him out and they give him just a special lesson in Arabic, in English actually. So the school will work with you. With the child you're hosting.
Usually schools also get kids from across the world. So when people immigrate to the US or you come for whatever reason, so they deal with kids who do not speak English. And when it comes around surgeries, usually like if a child is having surgery, usually 2 weeks after surgery, the kids does not go to school, but then after that we release them to go back to school, to life basically. So we want them to live as normal life as it can be. Yeah.
But the paperwork from the school, is it you as an organization do it, or is the hosting doing it because the school like?
Well, we work together. I think you, Mama.
No, yeah, no. I just told him that he's from PCRF. He's staying with me for 6 months. I want to register him. And I just put my name. I remember I put Luciana's name as an emergency contact and as the person who's going to be picking him up all the time. So the school actually doesn't care. It's
Yeah.
even if they're illegal, they're not allowed, the school is not allowed to give any information to, what do you call the one who come and, so we teach our kids, I worked at Beaverton High School, we teach our kids if they come around the school, just immediately enter the school. Once they're in the school property, they have no right to question the child. And the school has no right to say he's legal or illegal. Once they leave, we tell them do not talk to anyone when you walk out. If they ask you about your immigration status, just keep walking or come back to school.
Yeah, the kids.
This is just an example if the child is illegal. How about if the child has a visa already? So the school actually don't care. As long as there's a child, it's a number. They get more money funded. They get, yeah.
And there will be papers that kind of provide a temporary guardianship that will be worked out with the host family. So there's an agreement and understanding if you were to need something for, if you're signing them into a medical appointment or for care, that is all that's been done thousands of times by now. So there's a process that has not given us any trouble.
And you know, that's why also we ask for their vaccination record. We catch him up with vaccination. So the paperwork that the school require, we kind of provide it, or we have a clinics here that can help us. Mustafa too, he went to school here for almost a year because he had complex surgeries. So he was enrolled in high school for 1 year in the US. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How about like preventive care, like going to primary care or dentist, which will not be covered under this free? So do we have as a host to get a health insurance or is it
It's a free. We ask people help. There is a lot of dentists, Arab, Muslims, good people. There is so many people who do good for free. Mandy does a lot for free.
So in downtown Portland, there's multiple federally qualified health centers. So Multnomah County, they could be seen at, Outside In, Central City Concern, Virginia Garcia. There's a number of organizations that are used to providing care. We have received, there's a local organization called Project Access Now for uninsured folks, and they actually will be able to, I mean, now the care under a care organ is a little bit better than it was a few years ago, but there were things like specialty urologists or nephrology that might not have been under the agreement, because when the kids are coming, typically if it's an orthopedic case, it just goes to Shriners and they're not going to fix the other things. So we have been able to get volunteers. It's a process, but it is possible. And then preventative care is the easiest one because Oregon has a pretty good system in comparison, not perfect, but in comparison, we can get vaccines, we can get women's health, we can get men's health preventative care covered relatively easily. That's probably the easiest part. Yeah.
You know, I actually also, I forgot this, I hosted a girl, 11 years old, in my house in California for 6 months with her mom. And unfortunately, her mom was diagnosed with cancer here too. So just, you know, like, and I think the fact that we have many people who work in healthcare, we try to navigate the system and we try to lean on friends or people who could help us as well. I'm sorry. Yeah, it depends. Sometimes it can be weekly. Like if you're coming for physical therapy, sometimes the physical therapist may want to see you actually 3 times a week. So we used to have a calendar, and the calendar, our volunteer coordinators will find someone to drive the kid back and forth for each day. Usually we have a list of volunteers, we have a list of people who donate money, a list of people who volunteer, so we basically lean on them. So physical therapy usually 3 times a week. Doctor visit, it depends, sometimes once a week, sometimes every 2 weeks. If they're having surgery, then they are for 3-4 days in the hospital. Yeah. So it varies depending on what the child needs. You commit to that visit. So like, for example, you are scheduled on Monday, so you go pick up the child and you take him to the doctor visit, you stay with him, and then you bring him back either to the host family or to the school. And all those instruction will be given to the volunteers. Yes. We do. We don't get details, religious history. It's either you're Muslim or Christian. And, you know, things in the Middle East is not complex, to be honest with you. People live and observe the same traditions.
Like if they request that you need to wake up my son for Fajr, so we set an alarm for him to wake up for Fajr, or he need to go to Friday prayer. So we have someone who will go and pick him up and take him to Friday prayer. But I just want to say something. As a host family, you are not obligated to commit to any of the doctor appointments for the child you're hosting. So you take that out of your shoulder. Just the volunteers will do everything. You don't even have to worry about when is his appointment or anything. Might be a text that your child has this appointment and you'll just inform the child with the appointment. Just taking them, you don't have to, you can, but it's not something you have to do it. And everything you do is 100% volunteer, so they don't pay you anything. You might pay from your pocket, so you'll be willing to pay from your pocket. But if you feel that it's a burden for you to cook dinner or to clean the house, you can ask and they might find someone to cook for you and they will find someone to clean for you, which in my case, I never asked for it, but they offered me. They said, if you want, we can find someone. But alhamdulillah, we did not even ask for that. But that is something that it's an option that you can always reach out to the PCRF, and they're, as they say that 24/7 they're alerted. If something emergency happen, you can contact them immediately, and they're really quick at responding.
So, I mean, we would love to host a child this year. More than one child would be incredibly difficult because of the amount of coordination that it takes. A lot of the chapters nationwide we are ready, right? We are ready. It's not, I mean, if we could make it happen, now we would. And I see this, we have willing people who are ready to accept a child and are, we're really floored about what is happening. And, this is a way that we can be engaged and help. But unfortunately, with the logistics, getting a child here, I'm really hopeful that it can happen this year. But it would be probably one that,
We will not have more than one at a time because we don't want to have a lot of kids and then we start making mistakes. Yeah. And then you also have to have an accepting surgeon and a hospital to host a child. Like with Mustafa, it was very complex. Like we started with a Shriner. Shriner accepted to care for him. Then we realized that he needed abdominal surgery that we did not plan on. Then finding a special surgeon who can do the surgery, who's willing to accept the child, who's the hospital is willing to waive the fees, because usually those surgeries cost hundreds of thousands by the time you get the bill. So we basically try to line up people ahead of time, and we try to get diagnoses cleared ahead of time so we know what we are getting into. But unfortunately, sometimes you get in and you have other problems that you have to deal with. Like in case the girl that she came to my house, she came for a spine tumor surgery, and then we realized that her mom is having breast cancer. Then you'll have to deal, like you have to basically scramble and see who can treat who now. And you cannot just ignore her, you cannot say we're focused only on the child, we have to take care of everyone. Yeah, yeah. And Mustafa's mom as well, the Iraqi, they're from Iraq, so his mom had also health needs, and I think you worked with the primary care to get her in the system. Yeah. I volunteer for PCRF, so I honestly know about PCRF. I am not sure if there is other organization who bring children to the U.S., but like for the last 20 years, I have volunteered for them on the ground and here. And to be honest with you, I think our best work is when we go there. So in May, our last mission was with a cardiology team from Randall Children's Hospital. We went, screened over 30 kids, and we did the procedures and the cardiac cath for 10 children. So those 10 children did not have to have an open heart surgery. I think we accomplish more when we go there, but unfortunately now also we are on hold, we cannot travel inside. Because like you have to have permit from Israel, you have to have permit from the Palestinians, so it's, yeah.
yeah.
So I have been volunteering with BCRF since 2005, and I usually go once or twice a year. And we go to the West Bank and we go to Gaza. And initially, I was going with cardiothoracic surgery mainly because they do not have pediatric cardiothoracic surgeons. And then I started recruiting neurosurgeons, and we have so every year, sometimes even 3 times a year, I have been on the ground with local doctors. From Portland here, we have taken the cardiology team from Randall, but from Southern California, where I used to live and work before, we had our Loma Linda team at least go twice a year there. And besides going and doing surgeries, we also try to train the local doctors. We try the local doctors, local nurses. During COVID, because we could not travel, Randall Pediatric Intensive Care Educators done a 16-week training online via Zoom for the nurses. So we try to build capacity. Besides helping children, we try to build capacity in terms of training nurses and doctors so they can take care of problems there. And we also try to sponsor nurses and doctors to go to other places. So we have sent doctors to India, to Italy. I think there is somebody right now in Brazil that basically his home and his family was no more exist, unfortunately. And then we have sent a group of nurses to be trained in Egypt, and they're cardiothoracic. They have a pediatric cardiothoracic system that is world renowned. So we try to build capacity in different ways. And BCRF fund all that. So the donation that we collect goes for children treatment on the ground, outside, building capacity, and then providing other needs, like they do, for example, the amputee summer camp. They do an art camp in the summer. We did an oral health camp one year, like, with toothbrushes and toothpaste, and, so you do all kinds of activities to engage children. Right. Yeah. Intel have been matching donations for years, so thank you for that. Yes, ma'am. So, multiple questions. So, critical kids will not travel here because you need to stabilize them first before they can travel. Usually, we have a team in Gaza, we have teams in the West Bank and the different towns that identify the children, and they basically communicate with our patient coordinator for BCRF who's in New York. And then we start looking for doctors. So if you know that this child needs X, we start looking for surgeons who are willing to talk to those kids. So although you may have a relative in there, if I don't have an accepting surgeon in here that says I can help, then it's very hard to match. We try our best, but we need someone to accept the child on the medical side first. Did I answer your questions? Okay. You can. Actually, right now because there is some kids are being posted on Instagram, so we are basically telling each other and BCRF, like if you see anything on Instagram, a child that needed treatment, please let us know. So I don't know if you are on Instagram. A few weeks ago, there were a lady was begging for treatment for her husband. They were both doctors. But there were no way to get her husband out, and he needed an emergency surgery. They amputated his legs in Gaza. Like, sometimes those things can't wait. Like, if you wait on him, basically he will die of septic shock, So sometimes you see things on Instagram, and we activate our teams. We say we want to do something, but it all depends on whether we can do something safely or we cannot. Did I answer you, Don?
I will say our patient coordinators too are very good at knowing, like we have Shriners who will not only care for the child when they're here, but until they're an adult. So once you're a Shriners patient, then they're a child for life. So if you have a child that's going to need multiple visits, then that might make sense to send to Portland. Like, if you have a 4 or 5-year-old, as every few years they will need a new prosthetic. And we have the capacity, we have a long-standing active chapter. But if they send us, if there's somebody that needs some cardiac care, it may make more sense to send to Detroit or, another community, for example.
Yeah, there is surgeon who takes kids all over the world. Like we have people who takes kids in Italy, in New Zealand, believe it or not, in the U.S. The East Coast gets a lot of kids way more than the West Coast. And I think it's because of proximity, and then you have Chicago and Michigan, there is a lot of Arabs. Oh. Yes, sir.
So from submitting the application, how long does it take for the child to come to the host? And you mentioned that he will be hosted, or the family will be hosted in Jerusalem for 3 to 6 months. Then after that, if they are on temporary visa, they have to leave the country?
They have to go back. Yeah, they have to go back.
So they cannot come back again?
Well, they can come back again. So same like Thaer, for example, he came when he's 12 and then he grew up. Like he has a growth spurt and so the prosthetic that he had does not fit well anymore. So basically we consult with the Shriner. We used to get him another visa to come back.
It's for young children like 7 years or 8 years. Does the husband or the wife need to be working from home, staying home during work days, or like they can leave the child, they have like houses, or yeah, how this happens? Or if there is a guardian, yes,
Mm-mm.
just leave it with the guardian.
Gurney, sure.
But if there is no guardian and it's like 11 or 9, in that case, does any of
The community will help. Yeah, so Rania works.
Yeah, I used to go to work. I work from 7. I will leave the house at 7, come back around 4. And Thaer would leave around like 8. So he knew how to just get dressed and walk, and the bus will just stop by the house. My kids will walk up the hill, but for Thaer, they will not allow him even walk up the hill because they will not even allow him take the regular bus. So he has a special bus that come and pick him up. And when he comes back, even if you don't have children, he will, like if he's 11 or 12, you will trust that he will just walk in by himself and just get in the house. So yeah, you don't have to stay in the house. If you work, you will continue doing what you're doing. And if it's a younger, yeah. So if it's a younger child, then you have to, like the PCRF will find a volunteer who will actually stay with the child until you arrive. They're really good at finding volunteers. And we have a lot of volunteers who are willing to do this.
I think part of the big picture message is that every child that comes will be as unique as every family in this room and will have different needs, and so ultimately that's why it's nice to have a big pool of people that we can help, or we could say like maybe your home is not ideal for this child, but there's another child that it is, and vice versa.
The least thing you need to think about before hosting a child is it's 7 years old, I am working, okay, he's 13 and I'm working, that's work for me. So you just have to think about those things. And also the PCRF, when you fill out the application and they interview the families, they will try, as they say, they will try their best to match the child with that family.
So mostly it's medical, but medical encompasses so many social aspects. So as Asma was saying, there are other art camps and things, because these children, it's not just PTSD, it's more like a CPTSD or a chronic PTSD, because it's not one event, right? These are daily events that have been happening for years, and so it's a different set of needs. So there are a wide variety, especially on the ground, of different offices that are handling different parts of the needs of the children there. So medical, we're starting to understand more about medical, including our spiritual and emotional and psychosocial needs. And so that's why we like a wide array of volunteers. As I said, we're medical, but Thaer doesn't want to hang out with us. He wanted to go play soccer with his friends. And so we're trying to be very mindful that kids want to hang out with other kids, they want to go shopping, they want to learn, they want to play games, so any talent that you have, even if you're not medical, that's almost even better, because they're tired of explaining their situation just over and over again to medical professionals. Some of the best memories we have are, playing soccer, taking them to dinner, going to the museums, taking them to just doing things that you can do with your children is just as meaningful sometimes as the medical. I was telling them when I was messaging Thaer now is in Egypt now, by the way. He's in medical school, mashallah. So, and when I messaged him, he was saying, like, I just remember riding in your blue Subaru. And of all the times that we met him, he remembered, like, riding in a blue Subaru. So, like, kids, they want to be kids. They want to be, so don't think that you have to be medical. We love our non-medical volunteers. We are boring, so, bring it.
You know, the other thing, so in the past, we have engineers volunteer with BCRF. So there is a lot of things that can be done on the ground if people are willing to travel. We have some people who are building like a medical record for BCRF, so software engineers. And also like we really don't know how is the next phase is gonna be. Like, we are praying and pushing for a ceasefire every single day. So till that happen, I think it's really hard to figure. But we will need everybody. That's like, if we are able to go to Gaza as it used to be, we will need everyone. So whatever talents you can contribute, if not BCRF, there is a lot of humanitarian organizations that they help on the ground. And if you ask, we're happy to hook you up to or find you something. We usually go medical teams. So I can tell you 1 year we were working in the West Bank and it was summertime. So I took 2 of my kids with me. They were like young, they were not adults, but they were teenagers. And then we were asked to go to Gaza, and usually to enter Gaza we have to have a special permit from the Israeli government. I had to leave my kids behind me. They could not enter. So if you don't have a reason for being there, they will not let you in. Yeah. Yes. The qualification for hosting a child, it's a loving home and willingness to do it. And you pass the background check, like no criminal record. Yeah, but that's the only qualification.
Does the home have to be one story, two story, like bedroom?
No. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, when Thayer came, I had a daughter in the house, so I was honestly not comfortable having a boy with my daughter, so I basically said that, if there were no other people to host that, I'm happy to have Thayer, but I prefer people who has boys, So I think we run each situation, we try to find something that is comfortable for the host family and for the child as well, because to have a child come and spend time with a girl, even his age, it's not in our culture or it's not in our tradition. So he had a great time with Rania's children playing soccer, going out, looking at their photos. Everybody have a blast. So.
My daughter was like 5 weeks older than him, and we didn't mind that being in our family. And I remember when I took him to Disneyland, every time we will have to go in a ride, because of his leg, they will not allow him to go, because when they close the whatever that seat belt, the safety, that was at the Universal Studio. And I remember the person at the Universal Studio, one of the manager, found out about Thair, and I told him the story about it. So he found a couple of games that will take him, and it was a VIP where Thair had to go at least 20 times into these rides because he just loved it. And he will just do this to the man, and he will just, okay, around, and people will be lining up, and he just had a blast. And after we finished, that manager followed me and said, you need to go to the office. And he reimbursed me with me, my son, and Thair. It was close to probably $600, just because Thair was not able to go into a couple of rides. So people here are good people. There is a lot of good people here. So once you tell the story about your child, you will see how many people are willing to help and love and care for that child. Yeah, it wasn't easy. It's like I'm telling all the sweet stories. So there was some challenges. With Thair, he has short temper, so he will get really upset, and sometimes he will hit a kid. The other family will understand that, and we have to talk to him. And I talk to Thair as I talk to my children. And I was strict with him as much as I was strict with my kids. And when he came, we set the rules. We sat down as a family and we said, this is my rule in the family, this is what we do in this house, this is how much TV we watch, this is how much we do things. And I remember one time he went with one of the volunteers, and I didn't know that he was with that volunteer, and came back around 10 in the evening, and I was freaking out. I was like, I don't know where this child, and we found out that he's with a volunteer visiting in the house, and so these things will happen, but just to treat him as your child and talk to him the way you're talking to your kids. It's not easy, I'm telling you. Like, some of these challenges are not easy, but I embrace every moment Thair was in my house with these two times. I love it, and if it will happen again and you ask me, will you do it? I will do it. I will 100% do it without even thinking that, oh, you know what, I had this hard time with him. Not at all. So yeah, there are challenges. It's the same what happened with your kids or with your nieces or nephews. And you just, as a mom, you have to deal with these things. As long as you set the rules and you set, as a parent, what are your expectations, children will understand it. Doesn't matter where they come from, they will understand it and they will respect it. And if one situation happened where he wasn't listening, he was very stubborn, and at the end, me and Luciana ended up calling the parent. It was like, hey, you know, this is what happened, this is what's going on, so can you have a talk with your son about these certain things? And we left him with the dad. We went outside, and the dad talked to him, and the parent, they know their children. So after that, he came, and he's like, you know, I'm sorry for this, it's fine, I'm not gonna do it again. And so yeah, you can reach to their family if you feel like, you know, I have to, there are certain things that I cannot do it. So you can reach to their family if they have, like, their parent, grandparent, uncle, whoever is responsible for them. But yeah, it's fine. Kids will always behave. It doesn't matter where they are from. Yeah, but always think about these children, they're coming from a war. They have seen their relative dying. They have seen their family being killed in front of them. They have seen checkpoint. Like, I remember Thair when he took his bike from PDX. We took his bike in, and he was worried at the checkpoint of the Israeli that they're gonna take the bike. And he told me, Auntie, the Israeli will take the bike, and this is all what I have. And the Israeli were making fun of him. You brought this bike. My advice to you is just to leave the bike here, because your people are thieves and they will steal the bike. And you don't have a place to put the bike in your house because you don't have a garage, so we're gonna take the bike. And he was only 12 at that time. And he said, I was crying that they're gonna take the bike, and mentally they're playing with their mind. And then they said, okay, we will see how long this bike will last with your thief people. And so Thair took the bike with him, and he ended up the whole neighborhood riding the bike. The whole neighborhood will ride the bike with him. So yeah, so this thing happened. Anyone has any question? No, I cooked. the same way his stepmom and his mom cooked. So he will ask me to make certain food and I will cook certain food for him. So yeah, he did like my food. And he liked Luciana's food too. So he will call her and say, I'm going to go to your house and eat today. At Tha'ir, when they told me to host Tha'ir, I have a brother who passed away in 1992. His name was Tha'ir. So I said, I will host Tha'ir just because of the name. Not because of the name, it's because I wanted to host a child, but when I found out that his name is Tha'ir was for me, yes, I want to host that child. And when he came, I found out that him and we share the same date of birth. So every time I celebrate my birthday or he celebrates his birthday, we always send greeting to each other. Yeah, it was a perfect match actually.
So I believe this local chapter has social media pages, like they are on Instagram and they are on Facebook. There is someone who managed that department, not me. But like we always get the volunteer requested through those. And Dunya will reach out to the volunteers and set up some time to meet with them. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah, San Diego chapter is very big and have been there forever. Yeah, yeah. Actually, the people in San Diego, some of them were the founders, along with Steve, of the whole BCRF. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. They have a chapter website.
And just put in mind that when you have a child, PCRF will do fundraising, and other organization will also ask you to come and visit them, so you will be willing to actually be with the child. So when they do a fundraising, you will be with the child during that fundraising. Or if other organization ask you if you can be with the child during that time, this event.
Well, thank you for being interested, actually, to learn about